So what's up, people? This is your boy Big Ruck.
It's Brother Ron.
Brother Los.
And Brother Jam.
And we are the Daily Smoke, and we are here today for episode 95.
Damn, 95?
95.
95.
Wow.
What's up, everybody?
Never ceases to amaze how big those numbers get.
Yeah, man.
95.
95. 5 more. Well, 4 more to the 99th, and then
Woo.
the big 90. I mean, the big
100.
Big 100, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least we gonna get there. It's gonna be nice too.
How y'all feeling, man? So far, we've come so far. You know, it's almost a year before we first started going live. How's everybody feeling about the show and everything?
Oh, man. I'm loving it, dude.
Yeah,
That's what's
I'm
up,
loving
man.
it. Me too.
This the shit I look forward to.
Right. Yeah.
I got a good feeling about it too. I think we're gonna grow.
Yeah.
With their
Most
help, we'll
definitely.
grow.
Most definitely. Man, so how everybody doing, man? Everybody doing all right?
Man,
Everybody good, brother.
I saw some shit today that I was like, okay, I gotta tell the guys about this one. I want to say it was, I think it's Switzerland, if I remember right. Switzerland, this guy has developed an assisted suicide pod.
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a little, it looked like a stasis chamber, something off of Star Trek or something.
true.
They talked
You know.
about some
And-
show that they said it reminded Futurama.
Yeah.
Something from Futurama.
Because Futurama had those.
And it looks like
And you could basically go in and you fill out an online survey. An online survey. And once you fill it out, at least from the way I understand it, that's all you have to do.
Wow.
There's nothing else that's required.
Wow.
And then you just go sit in the pod. They say I think they said it takes 30 seconds.
Ooh.
Because
it's
it
only
fills
for-
up with some.
It's only
So
that would be crazy.
that's when I read that, I was like, okay, that's cool. That seems humane to me.
I mean, I guess, it's one of those things that it has a certain shock value when you first see it. You look at it and you go, damn, we've really gotten that. We've gone to this point now.
Yeah.
Where it's just a pod. You just go lay down and that's it. But like I said, I mean, I understand the thought process behind it. I believe that assisted suicide should be a thing, especially for the people who are terminally ill, constantly living in pain, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know, that pod thing, man.
Just the whole thought of
That caught me off guard, and I was like, that just seems a little cold.
That's the future, though.
They've been going in that direction. The reason why we have a pod is because, in particular, over I think in the country where they got the pod from, they've been dealing with this euthanasia thing.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that was on the table that I saw about 8 years ago, I think his wife just saw it recently. They had a roller coaster that you would get on.
A roller coaster?
Yeah.
It's the
roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster that by the way it would spin and do it, by the time you got to the done, you were dead.
Yeah, like it's like the first.
Okay, I like that better than the pod.
Get to go out. Some shit like that.
It goes. The first hill is so high.
Yeah.
That by the time you get to the bottom of it, you're gonna be dead.
The G-forces
and
and
then you
everything.
have to go through like about 3 loops.
So just in case.
Yeah, and the 3 loops after that, the amount of G's and everything, you'd never know what happened. You just pass out, be out, and then next thing you know,
You
whatever.
wake up
That's the
whenever.
reason.
Exactly.
Because the way it goes,
So,
geez,
yeah.
your body would just give up. Like
You'd be out of here.
You know how some people pass out sometimes. When they,
Oh, yeah.
You see people out there passed out.
I've
and
seen
they wake
people
up
pass
like,
out on hell, I've been sitting next to people who passed out on roller coasters.
That's nice.
But
This part seems a little bit more humane. To be honest with you.
I don't know, dude.
The only thing about the roller coaster, you got assholes out there to be like, I can do it. I know I can make it through this
Yeah.
thing.
But
And
if
they're
you
telling you can't.
But if you dumb enough
Hey, that's what you
to
get.
get on a roller coaster that they telling you is gonna kill you,
Then you stupid.
then you deserve whatever you get. You
Hey,
know,
man, you forget where we live.
You know what I'm saying?
That would never fly here. That would never fly.
Nah,
here.
they ain't
No.
gonna never let that
No,
fly
I'm
here.
saying, I know they wouldn't do it here, but I'm talking about the way people think.
Oh, yeah.
Let
Man,
them.
please.
Yeah.
Let 'em.
You know they'll try to do
Let
that.
them.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
eugenics in action right there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Let 'em.
Absolutely.
Please, that's thinning the gene pool. We need to get rid of that level of stupid.
right.
Absolutely.
Call a ride, population control.
Yeah.
Stupid
Right.
only. Stupid only. Because you'll read that too, like, I'm stupid, let me go ride.
Let's
Go ahead, that's what we needed you to do.
Hey man, so I don't know hopefully we got some people that was out there last week on Wednesday that are here right now, man, because we had a really, really interesting conversation.
Yes, sir.
Really interesting conversation. It was about fathers and stepfathers actually.
Yeah.
And their relationship with the kids and everything. We had a really, really interesting caller that called in. And he asked his question in the comments, but we were getting ready to shut the show down. So when he called in, we only got a little bit of his conversation. So he's going to call back today, and we're going to go ahead and finish that conversation.
He's on with us right now, right?
Yeah, so if he's on, man, go ahead and give us a call, and we'll get right to it, man. Yeah, man, that was a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, I was enjoying that conversation last week,
Yeah.
so I'd definitely be interested to hear what he got to say on that.
I got a lot of good feedback from that show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got
yeah,
a lot of good feedback
show,
from that
Anybody
show.
remember his last comments? Because I don't.
Yeah, he was basically saying what he did as no, he was saying it's a difference whether it's a girl or a boy.
Or son, yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Regarding the relationship with the step-parents.
Here we go.
All right, caller, what's up, man?
What's good with y'all, man?
Chilling.
How y'all brothers feeling there?
We doing good, man. How about yourself?
I can't complain, but if I did, ain't nobody gonna listen anyway. So
Right.
Not even yourself.
Right.
you be right about that. So yeah, I was talking about the dynamics of a family with y'all was talking about it. And I asked a question like, females are a little differently. They say that they smarter. I have to go along with that because they don't really like opposition. But what happens when you have a young black male from the ages of 4 up until 11, and that hard-headedness sets in? And I don't know about y'all, but I'm the type of person that the way I was raised, and it sounds like y'all might have been raised the same way. From hearing y'all talk, is that sometimes talking is good, but what happens when you done talk so much?
That's right.
And it ain't doing no good? And now the little boy, he's got a father, but yet he's living in your house, or you and his mother are residing together, and decided to make a go of this thing in the relationship, and he happens to burn up your shoes or burn up the kitchen.
Ooh.
Ass whoopings, excuse my language. I think. Now, do I call? Is it proper to call the parent and say, "Hey, he did this, he did that"? And in some instances, yeah, it really is. But now, to that child, what does that show to that child who will one day become a man?
That's a good
What
question.
does that show him? Does it show him that this person who's here, who's the king of this castle, that he's going to call someone else for me to handle, or call someone else for them to handle this situation that I just done? And it's a hypothetical situation.
Right.
He just burnt up the kitchen.
Right.
Right.
I would hope the mama whoop his ass.
See,
That's her kid.
and in that respect, I would think, at least in my mind, in my situation when I was dealing with my kids, is that's where the conversation had to have already happened beforehand.
Exactly.
I'm not going to wait till the situation is there to have a talk with you. Now, in a scenario like the one you painted, if we've already come to an understanding as a parent, and I believe it was you in the comments who said last week, you have to have that united front as a parenting unit. So if we've already got that established, then I'm going to do what I feel is appropriate based on the situation. Now, if we as parents have to talk about it after the fact, I got no problems with that. We can discuss it. Let's talk about it. Whether you agree with me, you think I did the right thing, you think I did the wrong thing, we can have that conversation. But I'm not going to stop in the middle of what needs to be handled right then and there to make a phone call and do that, because the way that I would handle the situation is we would already have that established on what the criteria is on how I'm going to be able to deal with your child or whatever before we even get to that point.
If the criteria is you're not touching my kid,
and I respect
mama
that.
touches him,
Right.
You.
I respect that.
You know.
But me,
I don't think
I was raised a little differently with that. I was raised in a time to where if I walked down the street and I did something that was mannish, like pulled out a little wee and took a piss on somebody's tree in their yard, I got my ass whooped by that person who owned that tree in their yard.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Everybody
And that was
named
an
mama.
adult. It could have been a male, could have been a female.
True.
I got my ass whooped. So now, but see, there's a difference from abuse and discipline.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can show discipline. Sometimes discipline has to be stern. Sometimes, as my mother used to say about me, I didn't believe fire burn and shit stink. So that means that it's going to take a little more than just sit down. No, don't do that. Sit down. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Right.
Because I believe that and for any child to respect an adult, if you tell them they're going to get in trouble and they ain't going to like the consequences of their actions for doing what they're doing, you got to actually show them. Because I believe that sets a boundary, a line. For example, I used to be out there playing on the street, coming up, young lad. I walk down the street, see one of my friends, hey, what's up, man? Pow! Sock him in his jaw. Now, if he kicked my butt, the very next time I see him, guess what I'm going to do? Nothing. I won't be hitting him in his jaw no more because he just blacked my eye.
I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, but now, being adults, we do things a little differently. And the certain type of discipline is only warranted to the certain offense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he spills some Kool-Aid on the floor, man, what you doing that for? You know, it's a little chest tag. He done burnt up your $1,200 suit because he playing with matches and lighters. I don't know if talking to him going to replace that $1,200 suit.
He gets thrown the fuck out.
Yeah. I mean,
He gets thrown the fuck out.
I agree. I
Go see
agree
your
with
daddy.
you 100%, man. I'll say this too, in just in terms of how you handle those situations. A lot of times, it also depends on the kid. You know what I'm saying? Because some kids respond better to talking, and some kids don't. Like some kids don't respond well to having to getting whoopings.
Yeah.
Some kids
No,
literally
you don't.
shut.
You're right about that.
Yeah, some kids will
Just
shut the hell
get it
down.
as just a talking to.
Yeah, and you won't get nothing done after a whooping with a child because they go some, you know what I'm saying? It does something different to them. Whereas you can spank their sibling the exact same way for the same reason, and you get different results.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always
Oh, yeah,
situational. It's always situational too.
Mo, listen,
Yeah.
man, I got whoopings 3 times a day.
Yeah.
In the morning to get up to go to school, in the afternoon to take a nap, and at night to eat my food and go to sleep. And the thing was, like, if I would have been with my uncle, if we would have been down in Texas, and my uncle lives in Texas, and I would have been down there, and I did something, and maybe he wasn't around at the time to see it, man, dirt all over my body. From a switch, a Hot Wheel track, spoon, spatula, belt.
A Hot Wheel
I
track.
forgot about those.
Damn, not the Hot Wheel
I
track.
never got one with a Hot Wheel.
Oh, I did.
With
Yeah.
the grooves on the other side. Shit hurt.
Them things was worse than a belt, man.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, they
I
are.
never
That's why I
got
stopped
that
getting them at 10 years old.
Yeah.
I never got that one though.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
my.
now, people say it's a slave mentality,
No,
a slave master's mentality. And some of this I agree with.
it's situational. Same thing.
And what I mean by that is like, okay, that when the slave, when these white folks had slaves, and they did something, they flogged them, basically beat them with a switch. They did so many different things, but I'm just saying like whips and
Right,
sticks
right.
and stuff like that. They flogged them. You know what it did?
I agree with
It fucked them
Sorry
up
about this,
for
man.
sure, but it also made their mentality switch to something.
Mm-hmm.
And what that switch was fear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're dealing with children, you have to have the right amount of discipline, the right amount of fear, and the right amount of love.
Mm-hmm.
Leading with love first.
Absolutely.
But what if that doesn't help? Then what do you do? What if that doesn't help? Then what do you do? I tell you, I probably know what you do. You put on your shoes and you run.
Yeah, if that doesn't help to some degree, man, then you just may have a problem child for some reason. You know what I'm saying?
But you also, like y'all said before, you have to have some form of dialogue with the mother. And she has to be willing and to know, and she has to know that you are not out here to harm her children.
Exactly.
You have to have that dialogue, meaning you have to be equally yoked mentally and the way you may have been raised. Because if not, it's a sure way fire to have a shitstorm.
Yeah.
Cousin Dan, we appreciate you so much, brother, for calling in, man. We appreciate you so much, dude.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love calling
man.
in, man. Anything else y'all want to talk about?
Well, give us a call back as the show goes on. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, but I'm gonna tell y'all something though. I will never let that brother that's sitting to the right of you, Ron. I won't let his kids come to my house without him being there. 'Cause you know what I'm saying?
I'll whoop him for you. They burn your suit, send them over. I got you. You know what? You can even give me your belt. Send them with your belt. I got it.
Lowe's gonna take care of
You
it.
know, I'm gonna let them know too. This is Danny's belt. Remember that suit?
All right, cousin. Thank you, man.
All right, man. No problem, man. Y'all brothers keep doing what y'all doing, man.
All right,
We
good.
will,
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, man. That was
Nah,
that's pretty
Cousin
good,
Danny,
man.
what else can you expect? Boy, love you to death, man.
although he made me remember one of the worst whoopings I got in my life. My mom used to have a fur coat. I want to say it was like rabbit or some shit like that, but it was a fur coat.
Chinchilla back in them days.
More than that.
Oh, we got another
I got
call.
another one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, see what you got to say.
Here we go.
Oh, I think
Damn.
I cut it off. Hold on, let me see.
Hold on.
We're
we
gonna
might
call
have
you
to
right
right
back,
back.
caller.
Yeah.
That is not it.
But yeah, man. And I don't know why, but I got into her closet one day with a box of matches.
That's nice.
And you know how when you put
Caller,
fire
give us
to
a caller.
hair,
Give us a call
it
back.
curls
Give us a
up?
call
Yes.
back.
I got fascinated with watching that fur curl up. And so just around the bottom of one sleeve, I just kept lighting matches and watching that hair curl up. It took about 4 months for her to notice it. And
this shit had
But when she noticed it, my God, that was one of the worst whoopings I ever got in my life.
Hey, how you doing?
There's voicemail.
Huh?
Yeah, voicemail. Try again.
Yeah.
Unless she's trying to call in at the same time.
But yeah, boy. Woo.
That was the Hot Wheel?
No, my mom had one of those leather straps that you use to sharpen a razor on.
Ooh, those are thick
oh.
too.
Yeah, that's what she had.
Hello.
When you
Hello,
really messed
how you
up, that's
doing?
what she got you with.
Hey. Okay. Am I on?
Yes,
you
you're
are.
on.
Is this okay? Who? Okay. Am I supposed to be talking? Am I supposed to be listening to the volume on the TV or the volume on the phone?
Listen to
phone.
the volume on the phone.
On the phone.
Okay, so let me cut the TV volume down. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. I think that I was listening to you guys last week on the same topic, and I was it was a little bit disappointed I couldn't call in because there's such a good topic and there's such a controversial topic. I think that what I don't understand is how can two people marry or have any type of relationship if they have not considered those children from the very beginning. In my particular case, we sat down with Little Ron's father, my husband and I, my deceased husband now, sat down with Little Ron's father, and we explained to him, what we expected, and well, I didn't sit down. My ex-husband sat down with him man on man on what he expected and what he expected from him. But when you have a child that the male or the female or the mom or the daddy, whichever one it is, from the opposite party, cannot chastise that child, that sends mixed signals out there. And that child will play each one of them against the kids are very intelligent. Mm-hmm. And once they find out who has the control, they will use that against the other person, especially when they have a father mother that's outside looking in. And I just think that if it was me, we'd have a family meeting. I would sit down with the child, me, the child, and the daddy, or me, the child, and the mama. All three of us, whoever's in that household, would sit down. Not the father from the outside. We sit down and we just tell them, look, these are the rules. Now, if you don't like the rules, when you get old enough, go stay with your daddy or go stay with your mama. But as long as you're in my house, you're going to follow the rules of this house. And when you think you can no longer do that, it's time for you to go. And another thing, I told Ron when Ron was, and I don't know if I'm supposed to make it personal, but I told Ron when I remarried, he and my ex-husband, my deceased husband, got into an argument. And Ron came to me, and I told him, look, you formed a relationship between you and him out of it. Y'all deal with it. And I stepped out of it. And when I stepped out of it, they figured out how to communicate with each other and how to get along. But as long as they thought that I was going to interject, it caused confusion between me and my husband, or between my child and me. And I was not gonna do that. I was not gonna take sides. I just wasn't gonna do that. So I think that's a very interesting topic. It's like I said, it's very controversial, and but you have to remember, like the young man that just called, like Danny, my little cousin, my little nephew called. He said, you can't be unequally yoked when you come to kids. They're delicate. Yeah. And you're molding and shaping that child's life for the rest of his life. And to say hands off because I'm just your stepdaddy or hands off because I'm just your stepmother, that's not justice for that child. That's true. That's the easy way out. That's sharing responsibility and accountability. So that's all I wanted to say. I think that you guys are doing a wonderful job. When I get some money, I'm going to make a donation.
All right. Hey, we looking forward to it.
Little Ron.
Thank you, Mama.
Little Ron was a bad
all of that
kid.
just for that.
Little Ron was a bad kid. Trying to make them come between each other.
Thank you, Mama Joyce,
Yeah,
for
thank
calling
you
in.
so much
We
for
appreciate you.
Always a pleasure when you call.
Always.
Always a pleasure.
But no, I agree with her, man. That's one of those things that you have to establish from jump. With my situation, having had, one child from before I got married, then of course my children that I raised with my ex-wife, but me and my older daughter's mom, we had to have an agreement, an understanding from jump. And she would try to do that. Okay, she messed up, so I'm finna call you so you can fuss at her. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, when I would start analyzing the situation, because I'd listen to her, tell me what happened. Okay, then I'm gonna call my daughter. Okay, now you tell me what happened. And just from listening to the 2 stories, I could hear where the truth was and where the truth wasn't. Who was really telling me what was going on and who was telling me what was going to get them the results they was looking for. And so it was one of those situations where I had to just look, we're not finna do this. If you want me to deal with her, then I'll deal with her. But if you can't handle her, send her to me, because I'll gladly take her.
When we was having that conversation last week, when cousin Danny, when he called in and made his remarks, I think one of the things that was most important that we really didn't address at that time was, but how do you reconcile a situation where you have the parent, the biological parent, that may have a different parenting or rearing style or administration of discipline than the step parent?
But that's what your mom was addressing, because you can't do, if you're getting in a relationship with someone who has a child, then before you go down that path, before you say, okay, I want to, I'm dating you, but you got a kid. Before you get to the point of saying, well, I want to marry you, let's see, that has to be a conversation that's had. I need to know where your head is at compared to what I'm thinking of as far as parenting, to see how we agree or disagree. Gotcha. And if that's even, something that can mesh. Right. That's not something you can decide on the fly. That's not a decision that can just be made up as you go along. That's something that has to be discussed, talked about, and planned for. Because otherwise, you're going to wind up with chaos.
That's true. But you also got to remember that a lot of times, in order to think like that in a lot of situations, you got to have some maturity, or you got to have some type of direction to understand and do that before you get into that situation. Because if you're a young person and nobody's ever taught you that, or you didn't see that, then when you go into that situation, you may not know to handle it like that.
Oh, true.
You know what I'm saying? True. So you just go into it because, hey, I'm with my new boo and, they got a kid, so let's do this. You know what I'm saying? I love you, I love the kid. Kid love me, you love me, hey, let's make it work. But then when it comes down to parenting, that's something that you never considered to even discuss, other than, do you accept my kid? Yeah. Most of the time. Right. In most situations.
If you're dealing with young folks, I can see that happening. I just know that for me personally, it was just one of those things that crossed my mind. And once that idea crossed my mind, I was like, oh, okay, if I ever get into a situation where I'm dating a woman who has a kid, we're going to need to have this talk. And when it happened, we had that talk. Right. It just wasn't.
It was a conscious decision.
Right. It just never occurred to me to not do it that way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I don't know if it was because having grown up with a stepdad and maybe understanding that dynamic from the child side a little bit, I didn't want the confusion that I dealt with having to deal with him, growing up. So I was like, okay, we need to get this clear from jump. Maybe that's what inspired me to do it. But even in my 20s, when I did meet my ex-wife, I was like, if I'm gonna be around you and I'm gonna be around your son, we need to have this talk. And
that sounds like you. It does. That sounds like it. That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But it's just what it is. But I can definitely understand with somebody 21, 22, 23, not having the foresight to think about that easily. But it's one of those things that you have to do, because parenting is bigger than just oh, I love your mama, and so we gonna work this out. No, there's more involved than that. Yeah. A lot more.
I'm still not gonna ask her if I can spank her kid in case that's her child. You spank him. I'm not gonna spank a kid that's not mine. I'll discipline you, but if it comes where somebody gotta spank, that's your child. I cannot spank that kid because I know I wouldn't nobody doing that to mine. So I wouldn't agree with you on that if we sat down and talked. I'd make sure that you do not. Right. She does it. Right. If you do it, we got a problem. Right. And then I'm gonna have a problem with both of y'all for her letting you do it.
But what do you do if you're a person that finds yourself in that situation though, and you didn't have that conversation beforehand? You know what I'm saying? How do you rectify that? I think that's what the basis of the question is.
I would hope that you're smart enough to know that that's not your fucking kid. That's its mom. If you got a problem with that kid, make sure that, your kid, what the fuck, this is bad. You may not spank. Well, you have to respect that she doesn't spank.
Yeah.
Just because it's my house and you're my kid, you're really not my kid.
Yeah.
We're living together. You're my stepson, but I don't have the right to touch you because I don't want no one doing that to my children.
If you don't have that conversation up front, then you have to defer to the biological parent.
Right.
You have no choice in that situation.
I would hope that the biological parent, knowing that I'm still around, is not going to give you that permission either.
Yeah.
You can discipline, you can yell at them, you can put them on punishment, whatever. If it gets to where you got to spank them, I need to be involved.
See,
You're not touching my kid like that.
I was raised under a whole different school because the understanding that our parents had was, if you see my kid messing up, doing something deserving of a spanking, you spank him and then let me know, and then when you get home, we're going to get another spanking. We all, as a community, had an understanding of, hey, there's just certain boundaries that warrant that if crossed. And and we never had issues of child abuse.
Right.
We didn't.
Right.
We didn't have as much deviance in terms of the individuals that lived on my particular street that all was under the same rules, just like on Cedarburg.
But you do realize that nowadays,
I can see the
nowadays, but nowadays most communities are not like that.
I'm not tripping on that.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not tripping on that.
Exactly. It's not even a community anymore.
I'm not even tripping on that. I'm talking directly to Los's point.
Yeah.
Where he says no one else touches my kid.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I come from a school where everybody touches their kid.
I came from that same school.
Yeah.
I mean, even the school itself, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Right.
I've got pops at school, back when that was still a thing. Yeah.
I didn't like that shit, so you're not doing it to my kid.
I don't think none of us liked it. But I don't think any of us liked it at that time, unless you're some kind of S&M. Right. But I don't think anyone liked it. But we all, to some degree, see the utility of it.
I actually agree with it. I love it. If you can make sure that there's no bullshit going on,
right,
and these
no
parents,
mistreatment,
this community, this neighborhood, that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
But you don't
You
have
know
that
what I'm
no
saying?
more.
So we didn't.
I understand that.
But they don't have it no more.
But I wasn't raised like that.
I would prefer
now
every community to be like that, because I think it would just produce better results all the way
around. Keep your kid
around.
way out of trouble, because they know Mr. Johnson over there catch me, he gonna pop me too.
I mean, that was the understanding.
and he gonna tell my daddy, and then my daddy gonna get me too.
Like,
Yeah,
we did
teaches you consequences.
Well, we did dirt. We wasn't hiding from our parents only in the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we was out there cutting up in the street. We was making sure nobody saw us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But even that situation though is different than some
why we got
stranger.
some
You know what I'm saying?
You know?
That situation is still different than some stranger coming into this community, which he just took the wife out of the community. Now he's over there. You're not from here, man. You're not touching my kid. I don't give a fuck. I don't do it. So the hell if somebody else is gonna do it.
Yeah. See, and like I said, I wasn't raised like that because we moved around when I was younger, so it wasn't never an established community of people that my mom would have just felt comfortable with doing that. My mom wasn't a big spanker anyway. She you had to push her in order to get her to actually pull out a belt or something like that, you know. But on top of that, because I think of my dad being so abusive in the way that he was, she was real reluctant to see us get whooped and get spanked and stuff like that because we had dealt with so much with him. Yeah. So it was just like, okay, I'm going to cut you some slack. But at the same time, I understood that I was being cut slack. Yeah. And so I didn't abuse it. Yeah. You know, it was just a conscious effort on my part as a kid because I respected her and I didn't want her mad at me. Right. You know, but it's different for, you know, the circumstances nowadays don't even allow for that kind of thing.
Of course not.
Yeah, most people don't even stay in a community long enough to get to know their neighbors to that degree, much less, you know, I'm finna let you discipline my child physically.
See, that's the thing, like, for me, if we're gonna make the argument, well, can we apply it now? No. Well, not because the practice in and of itself wouldn't be beneficial. Right. But personally, I think we're way too medicated as a society for anyone outside of myself and my wife to be disciplining my children. We are way too medicated. So I don't trust nobody's
Yeah.
Nobody's decision making
That shit is
when it comes to my kids today.
Yeah.
But I would still, if I had children, I would be a
You would
hands-on.
prefer that.
I would prefer not to
Right.
do it at all.
Right.
But that would be always an option.
Yeah.
You understand? And I can't see but how that can only help when you have a physical reminder to a growing developing, a child in development. I can only see, long as it's done properly, when you administer a physical consequence to any behavior, they automatically start making those connections that's going to guide their decision-making process as they go forward.
Right. That's absolutely right. That's why I say
Because we avoid pain.
It teaches consequences.
Absolutely. We naturally
That's right.
have an aversion to pain. But if you remove that physical consequence, it's not a surprise to me that you have so many children now that are also being hauled to jail as well as being just as medicated as their parents.
It's like Amy said, she was raised in a family that they wouldn't allow anyone other than the parents or the grandparents to spank, but they would just send that other child home and let their parents know, because they wouldn't.
I feel
that's
like
not their
that's
child, so I'm
responsible.
not gonna whoop their
I
child.
understand.
And I understand this concept because you're almost a knit family when that's a big community like that.
Yeah.
That's all right. Plus, they're not gonna really whoop your ass like you're about to get whooped at home, but they might pop you and get your.
Well,
ass,
it depends.
It depends. And it depends
Depends on
how
what
close
you
they
did.
are.
It depends on what you
There
did.
could be some Mormons.
But like I said, I'm not gonna let someone that's not from this community touch my kid like that. No, I'm not. You're not gonna do it. So and like you said, I don't know what the hell this dude got in his head over there. And I got daughters.
I feel you.
Hell no.
I feel you.
You know.
Because to play to your point, how many times have we seen where someone's kid got killed, molested, whatever, and the first thing you find out, it was the father, but the father wasn't the baby's father. It was some chick that had chosen this dude in a long line of already bad decisions. You know
Just
what I'm saying?
happened with that 9-year-old.
You know what I mean? And the kid was at their mercy now. And the first thing everyone asks is, where was the father? How did this happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then they start demonizing the woman and all that kind of stuff. But I understand. I wouldn't want my children in the hands of anyone else either. I understand exactly where you're coming
I
from.
would hope that the mom is smart enough too to know that I'll take care of this. And if she's not a spanker, well then now that I go back to where that's your house, you do whatever the fuck you want there. As long as you're not abusing my children, that's your child too. You got full say so. But when they're over here and I spank, you can't say nothing, bitch. I spank. This is my house. You got no say so here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that could be a problem between the two, but eventually with me, she'd have to know that you got no say so. There's nothing you can do. Nothing. They can't do shit. I'm going to spank them because I do. Because we were married at one time and I whooped their asses.
Right.
So don't even come at me like that. But you ain't letting that motherfucker smack my kid.
But it don't even have to be. That's just one example. But I guess my deeper question still would be like, what if, to both of y'all points, let's say you find yourself in a situation, you're like, okay, cool, got stepkids involved. And I got some of my real kids involved too, it's a back and forth thing. But you have fundamental disagreements on the discipline aspect. You know what I mean? Like they're just real fundamental differences. How do you communicate at that point? Because one partner is always gonna be looking for a specific result that's never coming.
Right.
You understand?
I get what
and that could be a problem if we're trying to see, and there's not too much deviation in the behavior of the kids. You understand? So you're kind of like, how do you deal with that?
That's what I couldn't tell you honestly because
that's my question, man.
does anybody out there?
The thing is, he kind of answered it one way because you first of all, the biggest deviation is that one of them just does not punish physically, period, right? That's the biggest deviation, right?
That I know of, yes.
Right.
Yes,
So-
but that's
so-
not the issue. But
Okay.
that's, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about
That's an example,
like,
but not
like
the
punish, like whippings and stuff. That comes under one style of discipline. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm talking about, hey, for example, I don't even want you to yell at my kids.
Oh, okay.
You
You
have no
understand what I'm
say
saying?
so what happens at my house though.
No, but he's talking
We're
about your
together.
wife, like you and your wife under the same roof, right?
Yeah, you're under the same roof.
That's
yeah.
a whole different story.
That's
Now,
what-
y'all gotta
that's
deal
what
with-
he's
y'all gotta
asking
deal
about.
with each
That's
other
what
with
he's
that.
asking
This got
about.
nothing to do with stepkids and stepdads and moms.
Well, yeah, it
it
does.
does.
Unless you got the stepkid there.
I mean,
That's the-
that question could be applied to step parents and moms.
Right.
I mean, step parents or both.
Right. But that
regular
falls under what he
parents.
said. I already know that I can yell at this kid because the mama told me I can't. Ain't that what you're saying? She don't. If you know that she don't like it, so she's already told you you can't yell at my kid.
But I think what he's saying is, so that's if you've had that conversation up front. So say you haven't had that conversation.
Then you'll find out that day when you yell at that kid that you're not supposed to yell at that mother.
But how
Because
do
she's
you
gonna say
handle it
something.
once you find yourself
Because
there?
your parenting
Now
style
you gotta-
is completely in opposition to the parenting style
Yeah, I heard my
of the biological
Y'all hear my
parent.
question.
Then you have to get with her and talk to her about it. If that means you didn't talk to her about it, now she yelled at you like, "Hey, you can't yell at my kid like that. I don't do that." Now we have to sit down and talk. Well, wait, baby, I yell at my kids, so I'm treating them all the same. I might not spank them, but I'm gonna yell at them. Well, I don't like that. Now that problem between you and her, not the kids. The kids are out of this problem. It's between you and her now. And if you can't deal with it, then guess what? You're gonna be gone with you and your kids.
So
That's simple.
part of the thing is whenever we bring issues to the table, anybody can talk about the problem.
Right.
We can dissect that in many ways. My question that I asked was, how do you deal with that situation with your partner? If there's a way to deal with that, I'm interested in what those possible solutions could look like for
Communication.
someone dealing with that. What are some and when we say communication, what does that involve? Like, are we talking about, like, do we approach them on a Sunday? Do we wait till their period to pass? Do I mean, like,
No, I know what you're saying, though. I know what you're saying.
If we're talking about solutions to the problems,
Right.
Let's become more solution oriented. How do we handle that type of
You
situation?
communicate with each other and come to an understanding.
Yeah.
There's no other way. If you don't talk to each other about it, you're never
That
going to
is
fix
gonna
it ever.
that is gonna have to be a
That's
sit
the only
down.
answer.
That's it.
Yeah,
the
that's
only
gonna have
answer.
to be a sit down, and you're gonna have to have that conversation till it's finished. It's not that's not one of those things that you can. Oh, once we
Right.
start this, okay, we're gonna come back to it later. No, we need to settle. This needs to be settled now because it's not something. The situation with the kid is not gonna allow you to be able to just put that on hold. Kids don't stop doing what they're doing, especially when they spot a weakness like that. Oh wait, he yelled at me and then he got yelled at. Oh, okay. Well, now I'm finna push his button to see if I can get this nigga gone.
Right.
So kids will, especially if they're old enough, they'll try to exploit a situation like that. So that's one of those conversations where you have to you have to go ahead and have that conversation, and you have to have it to completion. Y'all have to come to some kind of understanding, whether that's you go on board to her side, she come on board to your side. Some kind of compromise is going to have to
Yes,
be
yeah,
made in that
compromise.
situation,
Right.
because otherwise you might as well just hang that up. That's going to be a fight that'll keep coming back up,
right.
and that'll sour the relationship.
Yeah.
But communication is like they say, communication and actually listening
Right.
is the key to solving any problem, right? But you have to have two willing, mature
Right.
adults in order
Right.
for that to be able to happen.
And at the end of that, if you
And if
can't
you
deal
can-
with that, you got to go.
If one of
What is
them,
that?
if one of those individuals, one of those parents, are just not mature enough to have a real conversation, it can turn into a whole bunch of other shit,
Right.
and the whole point of what you arguing about will never even get,
Get
it
addressed.
never even
Exactly.
get
Going a whole
addressed.
different
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So that's where I think the bigger problem is, because if you can get through, if you can have that conversation, then eventually, if you got two rational people that's rational enough to have that conversation, I bet more times than not, you're gonna come out with a better result and faster.
Yeah.
But when you got one person willing and the other person is just not there yet, that's where the real problem comes in hand. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that also answers half of the question, because if you're the person that's having the question of whether or not you can whoop my child, and you're not even ready to have this conversation, you're not mature enough to have this conversation, then you're not mature enough to physically chastise my child.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
So that's how I would handle that in that situation.
You know. Hey, there's like 14 of y'all watching, but only 9 likes. I need 5 more
We
likes.
got
Come on,
14
y'all.
people. Wow.
5 more likes. Don't forget to hit
Yeah,
that
yeah,
like.
hit the like button, man. Hit the like
and
button.
share and
And if
subscribe.
you haven't, please hit that
Yes,
subscribe
yes.
button.
Please.
Even if you like, man, I don't want to see none of these ugly MFs no more. Just hit that
Speak for
subscribe
yourself. I ain't
button.
ugly.
It's
You ain't got
Christmas. It's Christmas, you know what I'm
Give us
saying?
that gift.
Give us a gift of subscribing.
And we know the subject was supposed to be like talking about the stigma of being a
Right.
a single parent, but this topic here seems to be so interesting. We just kept it going, guys. So if y'all got any questions or want to comment on anything we said, give us a call.
Most
281-858-3107. I believe the number is at the bottom of the screen. So call in
And we
281-858-3107.
We still got what, like 12 minutes?
A few more minutes.
So
Wow,
give
we got
it-
a lot of people in here. That's cool.
Yeah, man, we still got like 12 minutes. So let's touch on it, man.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
touch
what's up.
on it.
That's interesting.
So it was about single parents, right? Or single
Yeah,
fathers.
there's
Single
stigmas
fathers.
associated with it. There's stigmas associated with it. And I was curious as to know, like, what are some of those stigmas and how do you guys deal with some of them or have dealt with some of them as being a single father at some point?
Well, like I was telling y'all, when my youngest started her cycle, and I got the call at work, school calls me, and you could tell the woman was surprised that it was a male being called. I guess maybe they just had the phone number listed as parent, I don't know. Or maybe she told them to call me. But they called me. Well, Leah's having some female issues. Okay, what's going on? Well, she started her cycle. Okay, no problem. So she needs some supplies. Yeah, I'll take care of that. Be there at school in a few minutes. Luckily, at the time, I was working a job where I wasn't far from the school, so I was able to get there in probably about 10, 15 minutes. No problem. But when I walked in, just the look on their face, like, no, this man done brought this stuff up here. I know what my daughter needs, I've been around enough women, and already, of course, at that point, I had an older daughter already, so I know the ins and outs a little bit. At least for a starter kit, I can get you going.
Right.
So it's like, all right, let's go. And, you could tell there was just this kind of look on her face like, okay,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been little things like that I've noticed over the years, especially when it was just me and my kids, people would come around or, for one reason or another, they'd be like, okay, we wanted to talk to the parents about this. Okay, well, you got me. Oh, it's just you? Yes, it's just me.
Right.
And you could tell there was a look in their faces where they were shocked. I'm like, a father can raise their children,
Right.
If you, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know not every man is cut out to do it, especially not do it by themselves. No qualms about that. But I just so happen to be one of them ones, hardwired, whatever you want to call it. The role of being a single parent never scared me, never intimidated me.
Yeah.
I was more scared of being out of my relationship than I was about raising my kids by myself.
That's what's up.
Not
That's
I.
real.
That was the
That's
opposite.
real talk.
Peace. I got this. Shit, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
Plus, it's my daughter. There's nothing higher than that.
Right.
I have
That's
to
right.
take care of this.
Right.
And that's my point.
I'll take a bullet for this shit. So hey, I know what I'm doing over here.
My kids came first, and we had gone through like a little separation thing before we finally got divorced. And during that time, my kids were with her, and I only got to see them like weekends and stuff like that. Oh my God, that ripped my heart out. I couldn't do it. And once I had it lasted for maybe about 6 months. And once that was over, I was like, never again will I be separated from my children like that. And I knew from that point on, I had no choice. But if we couldn't work it out, they was coming with me.
See, I knew my daughter was better off with her mom when we first split up. Her mom was military, free all kind of shit. I couldn't afford to take care of kids.
Yeah.
So I'm okay if you have her now, because only thing I'm worried about is this kid. I don't give a fuck about I like you. Or You got more money than me right now. You keep her.
You take it.
Send it to me in the summer. I'll save up through the years. I
Right.
have enough to take care of it. But I knew, when I went to the divorce dinner, the lady was like, really? That's what you want? I'm like, my daughter's better off living with her mama right now. I just want to know that I can see her.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm paying what I got to do. Other than that, later on, I might challenge some shit. But right now, I can't take care of a kid. Not right now.
Yeah.
And once I had to, was forced to, I was good. I'm like, you know what, shoot.
It's
This is
amazing
all
the
we got
things.
to eat.
Yeah,
You
it's
eat.
amazing the things you can find how to make it
I'm
work
starved.
when you got no choice.
Right.
Man, I'm trying to tell you.
I think it's a big thing. Like when you want to do it, it makes a big difference.
Oh
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For
Like,
sure.
like he said, not every dad is cut out for that. Not every
dad
mom
not
either.
cut out
No,
for it, man.
There's
That's
moms
true.
that are not
That's
cut
true.
out for that shit either.
That's true, man. That's true. Like I think we all enjoy our kids, so we see a different perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We see it like shit. That was different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of dudes out there, man, that they may love their kid or yeah, I say they love their kid. I was about to say think they love their kid, but we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
They may think, they may love their kid, but don't want to be the one raising them.
The
They wanna
day-to-day.
be able to step in and step out whenever it's convenient.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And,
That day to day gets difficult.
yeah.
Oh man, I'm trying to
Yeah,
tell
you
you.
gotta be involved
My-
in your child's
my
life,
whole thing
even if
was-
you're not.
At birth, I looked at this thing and thought, it's not about me no more.
Right.
From that moment on, I knew
Yeah.
this has to outlive me.
Yeah.
Whatever I got to do, let's do it. And I knew that, I can't take care of a kid. Her mom was military, that's free house, free shit. You take her, I even made sure when they wanted to the medical insurance, like, no, she gets it free over there, so I shouldn't have to pay for that shit either. I kind of already pay for that shit. so she can have this. Made sure that too, when she's with me, I can't pay child support. I need that money here. So during those months or years that I have to take care of it, I don't expect to pay anything, And they worked all that out. The lady was surprised because in reality, how it should have went was I should have got everything I asked for because she didn't show up. That's the part that I didn't like too much because I'm like, wait, the paper said if I don't come, I lose all rights.
Yeah.
That bitch ain't here. How come she ain't losing all rights?
All right.
Why do I have to? Well, we got to check with her. Had I not been here, y'all wouldn't have checked with me.
Oh man,
What's the difference here?
Right.
don't even
You
get
know,
me
that don't make
started
no
about
sense
the
to me.
child
That didn't make
support
no
system,
sense
man.
to me.
It's
I'm
so,
like,
so geared against us.
Oh yeah.
and this wasn't so much child support. This was just it was something from Michigan where they have where you deal with it. It was called Friends of the Court. You deal with them first.
Oh,
so that
yeah,
if we
I
can be
heard that.
friendly about this, we don't need all these lawyers and get all
Right.
nasty. We can settle it here.
Right.
So and that's what we were doing. But when she didn't show up, I remember reading it. I said, you know what? I can get whatever I want, right? Well, no. What do you mean no?
Right.
Paper here says who don't show up, you lose all rights.
Right.
She ain't here. Well, I don't want to hear this well shit. It's because it's the mom. That's why you're welling me over here. Like, no. Because if I not showed up, I'd have lost everything. Y'all send me y'all got to pay this in. You don't get no visitations.
Yeah.
But that don't happen the other way around.
No.
It's almost as if you don't need
It
to
don't,
be a
it's
parent.
real bad because
It's
even
crazy, man.
like peep this, man. So I got custody of my oldest daughter, right? And I got child support. I received child support, but when they started it out, it was only $150, and then it went to like $250. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
she never paid more than $250 the whole time, except for when she had like when it got backed up because she wasn't paying or whatever. Then she had to pay a big lump sum at one time. You know what I mean? But they never gave her some real big exorbitant amount. And probably one of the reasons was because I didn't even want the child support. You know what I'm saying? I literally told them that I didn't want to do it. But she kept taking me to court over crazy stuff. So my family was like, listen, man, you keep going to court having to pay all these fees. She want to keep doing that? Then get child support.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop calling.
And after I heard that so many times, I went ahead and did
What's
it the
up?
next time she took me to court.
Who we got?
Caller, how you doing?
Man, I got something to say about that.
Let's get it.
Come on, let's go,
My
brother.
mother passed away from the flu, and the system is not geared to give fathers what they need in the sense of how fast or how quick they give mother had said this or did that, took me to court, and if I wouldn't have showed up every single time, meaning I'm missing work, all kinds of things, they would have gave that child, my son, to her. But now, after I got custody and I needed some assistance, maybe food stamps, because the boy was growing like a ragweed. He was eating me out of house and home. I couldn't keep noodles in the house. And it took them by 2016 to
2016. When did you start your
I
case?
got him in 2013. It took till 2016 for them to say, okay, now we'll give you something. So I would call different individuals
Yeah.
to try to get some type of clarity or some type of help. Not just financial help, just help, period. Help me with this situation. Show me the right way to go. And I call this place, it calls Fathers Matter, Father Initiative. And the first thing this white lady told me, she sounded white, she could have been black. Because y'all got a brother right there on y'all show that sound like he white, but he definitely he's got that voice where you like, I'm kind of straddling the fence with that. So, first thing she said was, listen, Mr. Brown, system don't care about you. They think fathers are second-class citizens.
And that's because a lot of them did that. A lot of them do. Don't give a damn. So they're tagging us all with that.
Wow, that many.
We all get tagged with that.
Most
That
definitely.
debt
Like,
we all
like
get
if I
tagged.
needed,
Wow.
at that time, I needed somewhere to stay for me and my son. But now, if it was a woman, they'd set her up with a 2-bedroom house, this, that, and the other, fully furnished, ready to go. Might be in the
hotel room or
project,
some shit.
but it don't matter.
You got a roof over your head.
Right.
Exactly. And you got food in your belly. You can't never say you're hungry now. But this is the thing that they treat fathers, they really do. Not women, but the system.
The system.
I hope he faded out on us.
1 minute.
Oh, I think the phone died.
Did it?
phone died.
Oh, yep, it sure did.
It sure did.
Hey, Danny, man, sorry about that's the second time we got cut out.
We used up all our phone time.
Yeah, man, the battery died. So apologize for that, man. But it's time for us to shut it down. Man, we appreciate all of the call-ins and we appreciate all of the comments. Thank y'all for being here once again, and we will see y'all Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel.
Hit
And
that
we're
like,
gonna
hit
get it
that
in,
like.
man. We're gonna start having some more fun on more fun doing some more fun things going towards closer to Christmas and everything like that, y'all.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, 99 is the sex episode, and then 100 is gonna be the big celebration. So y'all make sure y'all here, tune in, share, like, subscribe, and we'll see y'all Wednesday. This is your boy Big Ruck,
Brother Ron.
Brother Los.
Brother Jan.
Brother Bishop.
and we are the Daily
Daily
Smoke,
Smoke.
and we are out of here.